We've got another 4 or 5 downstairs. That would then take your units of studios to 12 or 13. So a few times now they've asked, what would we do in this situation, in this kind of deal? So what I would do at this point, because first of all just calm, because it's a brilliant deal, just celebrate the fact that it's awesome, and then take one step at a time. So yeah, you need to make a decision. What are you going to do with it? Is it going to be a fully residential dwelling from top to bottom, or are you going to do residential on the first 2 floors and then the ground floor commercial? So ring the council, find out how likely you'd be able to get, possibly you could get another 5 downstairs studios, 4 or 5.
But what we call is when you ask them that, like, let's say, what would you do if you had a little bit of free reign? Because it's good to have some options, but really what you've got to do is find out from the council what is the requirements. What targets have they got to hit? Nobody goes, like, it's really easy to do this, but nobody goes to these lengths.
How can I help
you? They think it's too lengths. Well, just say, what are your targets? What accommodation? How many units of accommodation? What type of accommodation is it? Is there any commercial? You know, because you might go to you've been ringing commercial people, shops and things like that to see if anyone's interested in it. The council might already have someone that's contacted them and said, listen, we need a commercial unit, we're looking to expand this and that. Yeah. Because, you know, quality retail organisations, because I've worked with a few very closely, they know what their expansion plan is. They know how many stores they're going to be opening over the X amount of months and things like that. You know, and they have special teams that obviously go looking for this stuff. So, and understand requirements is such an easy thing to do, because you just sit there, you ask a question, oh yeah, do you have any targets? What targets? Who would know about what targets you have? What standard of living? What's the goals for the area? Because, listen, just on the journey in, how much was like being developed?
Yeah.
So this area is so
buzzing with development.
Yeah, there's so much development. So there's going to be targets, there's going to be requirements.
Regeneration. So there's a lot of regeneration that clearly needs to be done around here, and that it's being done.
But if you had free reign based on what it is now, what would you like to do? How would you like to make this a sexy place to live?
Literally, for me, I love the idea of making it fully residential, but I also enjoy the fact of potentially making it a mixed-use strategy so that you've got both incomes to fall back on. Okay. So if you've got a couple of voids up here, you're still getting this fixed rent and it's more long-term to commercially let something. But then you've got let's just make it simple to start with. Speak to the council and find out how likely is it. So say we've got another 4 or 5 downstairs, that would then take your units of studios to 12 or 13, right? So if we were going to create 13 units in this one dwelling, what would I need to be doing? So would it need garden space? Would it need parking? Like all these things, because if they say up to 8, we're happy, and you won't need garden or parking, you know that that's fine because you've got that. If they say over 8, you need to have you know that there's no point even having the conversation. So you may as well keep that as a business use class, convert it into that, and then rent it out as a shop or serviced use or whatever, right? Because you could storage facility. I'm thinking of loads of ideas for the commercial unit, but then you can base it off that and say, okay, what kind of annual rent am I likely to achieve on that? And then obviously you're going to have the income from the residential use as well, upstairs. So once you've got the information from them as to how likely it is to get the studios through as a whole, or if they're not happy and you wouldn't be able to do it, then you've made your decision for yourself.
What about service accommodation?
Commercial unit. I mean, you'd have to check the land for the service accommodation used around here. I think service offices, maybe. Service offices, something like that. Potentially for the commercial unit.
Office here?
Just from.
Not sure about office, but how far is it to the town?
There's serviced offices as in. It's a
50-minute drive.
50?
It's a mixed use. Serviced offices it's a new thing, it's a new strategy that's getting really a lot of attention right now, where it's short-term business rent. So it's like somebody rents a room on Airbnb for a few nights, they rent an office space for work, like business purposes and stuff as well. So you could have, there's lots of ideas for downstairs. Basically, you can make it really simple and just make it one unit, rent it to like a shop, like a retailer, or you can make it into something a bit more unique, you know?
Yeah.
But this is where, you know, that is its own little class on its own.
Yeah. We was actually thinking the same thing.
Or sell it.
As
Split the title and sell downstairs. Fit it out, and somebody might want to buy it.
Yeah. Lot of.
There's so many options, but by speaking to the council, this is why it's just dead simple. By speaking to them, you'll know what the ideas are, because there may be no discussion. It may have to stay like that, and then that's your decision made, isn't it? Commercial and residential.
I think based on the demand for the living around here, though, it's a great opportunity to invest amount of money, but then create just a unit. It's not one unit, but like this one property that you're going to split into multiple units as a nice income generating asset.
Yeah.
Because what I think people are misunderstanding is thinking they're going to get rich or retire from one property, you know, or one deal. I'm not saying one deal is not important, because sometimes the first deal is what gives people the confidence. Sometimes the first deal is what gives people either the credibility or the confidence. So I'm not saying the first deal is not important, but what I'm saying is it's not really going to get you rich. You know, if you're going to do it and you're going to make some money where you can actually have a choice and the freedom in your life, you've got to start doing multiple strategies, you've got to start doing multiple projects, you've got to set it up as a business. So business, a true essence of a business is that it works without you. If it doesn't, it's not a business, you have a job. Yeah, so like that's how you're going to create wealth. So this is like beautiful, let's get the insight to this, but just think, how can I set it up as a self-maintaining, self-sustaining, passive income generating asset with long-term capital growth, that's the wealth, and then make sure that you take everything that you learned from this into your next deal as well. You know, I think that's, you know, there's two versions. I think that's why it's good when we have conversations and when we bring what we know to the table, because you love this stuff, and I love the, like, you know, take the whole 360 picture in. There's just one deal. You know, it's just one deal. Because at the end of the day as well, if you just focus on one deal and it falls through, you know, or something doesn't happen, or in some of our cases, it like you get delays, or you leave money in and you've got to pay investors back and all that stuff, then, you know, you don't have anything else to cover it. I mean, how many times have we been able to either refinance one property, or we sold one property and made a huge profit compared to what we put in, and it was able to then siphon out and help these to maintain the growth
of the business.
Yeah, and the profitability of the whole portfolio. You know, so it's like awesome to say, hey, here's the nitty gritty stuff and take care of that. But that's why building a team's so important. You know, building a team, because you've got experts. When I say experts, I'm like, there's people. I mean, look at the guy who lays our carpets. Yeah, his finite detail on what he wants to put in and all the rest of it, compared with your design and all the rest of it, you know, put that together. You know, that makes a big deal to the room, to the living experience. Yeah, but then you've got other people like us. You know, what I love is the overall business. How do I set up as a business? How do I add value to the people that we employ, the builders, the banks, the people who work in the bank, the solicitors, the brokers, you know, the tenants, managing agents, who can set up business, who else can we train from our experiences, who else can we help, you know, find freedom financially, physically, emotionally, mentally, because if you do this and you go into this, or the reason a lot of people quit is because they find there's too much pressure. When you agree, there's too much pressure, like mentally, emotionally, physically, because they don't think they can drive up and down, because they don't know how to systemize it. Right. So they're running around all the country, putting in offers, not getting accepted, or things fall through. They don't follow through.
But yeah, I think either strategy works very well. To do a mixed commercial, a mixed residential. You know, preferably you'll get all residential, because then each room's going to have an income. Clearly there's a lot of housing required in this area, and it's got a precedent because there is flats across the way. And if you're providing luxury secure accommodation, because the only thing because on the positive of having the business unit downstairs that's making an annual income, blah blah blah, that's really good because it's more long term, it's more simple to manage in regards to then loads of tenants. But at the same time, what if it isn't rented? Yeah, that's a whole unit that could have been 4 dwelling. But that's why you just need to keep it simple, speak to the council, and then they'll help you make your decision.
Okay.
So it would be a case of, I want to do this, but I'm not sure. It's like, I want to do this, but I can't, because it's not allowed. You know, they're going to help you make that decision. It's very easy to do.
We had an experience with council. We called them. They told us they will give us the feedback when we put the planning through, but not before that. So that was that council.
Was that with the
response.
HMO?
Yeah, but that's fair play and that's policy. But what
Yeah.
that, if you go back to what we were saying before about go and ask, because that's the planning department. But they're not necessarily the people that are going to be like, hey, our targets are this, our targets are this, this is what we aim to do, this is what's happening in the area, or this is what the government has said for us. So you go and find that stuff out, and then you can go, then you already know. You already
Find
know.
another department who deals with that.
And you just line them all up.
Yeah.
You just line them all
That's
up.
very cool.
You just bring everything together.
Yeah.
But if you can find something like one of these big chains that's like, yeah, we need one in that area, because I can't see any kind of those convenience stores. Like there's a little shop there, but something like a Co-op or a Spar or what's it called?
Tesco.
Like little Tesco Expresses.
Yeah, whatever.
Those kind of shops, you know that they're big business and they'll have long-term leases because they'll negotiate with you. But if you can find someone like that before you've even finished the project, or partway through, or even now, to say this is the space, how do you want us to renovate it for you to make it a nice clean shell ready for you to go in and do your thing. Imagine having that, so then that's done already, that's deal done, and then the rest of it you focus on here.
Is that like having an outcome in mind first?
Outcome in mind first, yeah, because then you're like, okay, so we've got the
Oh
Tesco
man, you
shop
missed that the other
downstairs.
week. You were going to come to the 2-day again.
Ah,
Yeah, no.
Oh my goodness, there was some awesome stuff that happened. There was awesome stuff. You know, people, we broke the record. Broke the record of raising money.
Yeah, you got a
Yeah,
lot.
raising money. 64 people in the room. In 20-minute exercise, £339,000 was raised then in that 20-minute exercise. How much is then going to be raised after?
Yeah.
I reckon well over $1 million.